You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Joining us right now is King Randall, one founder of the X for Boys organization based out of Georgia. So, King, explain why in the world you're conservative, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, please explain to me why this bill, why Republicans are pushing forth a voter suppression bill when last year we saw record turnout in Georgia, record turnout. So, why would they want to restrict voting when you just had record turnout in Georgia?
Well, let me start off by saying you had me mistaken. I'm not a Republican. I do consider myself conservative.
No. Actually, I didn't say Republican. I said you're conservative.
Okay.
I said you're conservative.
Right, absolutely.
That's what I said.
Right. Yeah, I was saying that because you called me a Republican on Twitter. However, with this particular bill, I don't consider voting my particular fight. I do consider voting an asset to us and maybe something we can use as a tactic to help. But as far as us pushing voting all the way out, like voting is going to be some systemic change for the black community, to me is not the way to go. If you look at the human anatomy of the body has its many different parts. And I do respect you guys' fight, in regards to voting, but I don't consider myself fighting for the right to vote that much. Because
do you not vote?
We hadn't got anything.
Do you not vote?
Government. Yes, sir, I vote, absolutely.
Okay, so when you say you guys' fight, first of all, there are multiple fights, there are multiple issues we can be concerned about. Voting is one of those issues. Are you not concerned that Republicans in your state are trying to restrict access to the ballot for no reason other than they are pushing the lie that Donald Trump also pushed?
Right, absolutely. I understand exactly what you're saying. However, again, that's not my fight. I believe.
No. I asked you a question. And the question is this here. Do you believe Republicans in your state are wrong to be pushing this voter suppression bill?
Can you give me the list of things that's all on the bill? Because I know you said the voter ID.
Well, no. Here's a perfect example. This particular bill right here gets rid of no excuse absentee balloting. Republicans in Georgia passed no excuse absentee balloting 15 years ago, thinking it was going to help them. They're angry because you had people who voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and also John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock won. So they're changing the law because they're angry they lost at the ballot box. But for 14 years, it was fine until last year. Is that, again, do you consider that to be egregious on the part of Georgia Republicans? Why would they change the law because they lost? How about making a better argument for the voters?
I agree with you. I do. I agree with you. I'm not against you there. I definitely think that is an issue that I believe you guys could fight. But that, again, voting is not my issue to fight. I believe.
So what's your issue to fight?
My issue, I fight for young black men before they die. And that's what I do in my organization. I do teach them to vote, but I don't tell them that voting is going to be the be-all, end-all.
No one says the be-all, the end-all, but it's a part of it.
But you guys promote voting like it's just going to change like the systemic outlook of the black community. That's not where it's at. We have to get out and go do for self in our own communities.
So, so define do for self.
When I say do for self, you shared one of my tweets, my videos, and I was actually a big fan of yours, but you shared one of my tweets. When I said black people need to stop begging the government and go and do for self out in our communities, you shared the video and called me an idiot. I didn't see anything idiotic about that statement at all.
So when you say do for self, like what? Explain that.
Okay, for example, here in Albany, Georgia, we complain about our school systems a lot. Many of our young men can't read. They have very horrible literacy rates. We don't have any rehab programs here for juvenile offenders. What I decided to do, I started a program 2 years ago, decided to do for self, and I started taking children into my home. I started taking custody of kids from juvenile court, and I started molding them and training them and teaching them skilled trades, etc. Now I'm 21 years old. I just purchased a school here in Albany, Georgia, to combat us being in the government-funded schools that are not teaching our children what they need to learn. So that's what I mean by do for self, simply getting up and going out and do it.
So
I beat the stereotype that I'm young, black in America, and I can't do anything because somebody's holding me down. Absolutely not.
So, question:
teenagers went and go ahead. Me and some teenagers went and bought a school, and we just bought a school bus simply from going out and doing work. We decided to go fix our own communities. I'm not expecting anything from no politician. I'm not expecting nothing from Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or nobody. We're gonna go do it for ourselves, and that's what I believe we need to be doing. I can vote, sure, but nothing's gonna change in our community.
So you went to the juvenile court system. Is that not government?
Absolutely.
So when you say purchased a school, and this school is going to be what? Private school, charter school? What kind of school is it going to be?
No, it will be independently owned. This will not be funded by the government.
No, that's why I asked you. So it's going to be a private school?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a boarding school.
A boarding school. And then for the folks to be able to afford to send their kids to the boarding school, what kind of mechanisms are they using in Georgia? Their own funds? Are they using school vouchers? What are they using?
I can't hear you. Say that again for me. You're breaking up.
I said, what mechanism are they using to send their kids there to pay for the school? Their own money, or are they utilizing vouchers from the Georgia government?
Absolutely. So for our school, we're financed completely by donors. We have many donors that have given yearly endowments to our school that will be able to pay for these students to come to our school for free. Many people believe in our mission, and we're making sure that young black men, where we live, where we don't have any rehab programs for juvenile offenders to even get out of jail and stay out of jail, we have people that believe in our mission that are trying to send children to the Extra Boys for free. We have many people that are trying to send kids to this boarding school to be able to take care of themselves. That's what I mean by doing for self. We got to simply get up and do it.
So you don't believe that government policymakers play any role whatsoever in being able to impact the lives of black boys and others in Georgia?
If we take them out of that government system, we don't have to worry about that. I keep saying.
How is that? So no, hold on. So here's the question. Hold up. Here's the question. How do you remove someone out of a government system when we all live in government systems?
Okay, being literal. Absolutely, we all live in a government system. Absolutely. However, you can do things to remove most government from your life.
How?
As far as trying to get yourself out of food stamps,
How?
trying to get yourself off of welfare. You got to go work. You got to get jobs. You got to get out here and go and do it.
So hold up. So hold up. So I'm just curious. So if somebody doesn't have a job, are they not applying to government for unemployment benefits or insurance?
Absolutely.
So how can that person remove themselves out of government when that's what government provides?
Absolutely. Well, my thing is trying to make sure you're not allowing the government to finance your whole entire life. As long as you're giving somebody the right to feed you, you're giving them the right to starve you as well. People are living their whole lives off the government systems. It was the day the government decide, well, we're going to cut food stamps, we're going to cut this and cut that. What we going to do? We have people out here living off those systems. So I believe in teaching our people how to go survive without the government. That's my biggest thing.
But again, though, you keep saying, I'm trying to understand. You keep saying how to survive without the government. You act as if a young black boy who comes into your program will not interface with government in any way. They will interface with government still driving down the street. They will interface with government trying to get a driver's license. They will interface with government trying to get a voter ID. They will interface with government trying to apply for financial aid to go to college. So they're going to interface with government in many ways. The point I'm saying is, doesn't it make sense that black folks should be engaged in a political process to where we are impacting policy that also impacts us? Or are you saying that doesn't matter at all?
I only believe that we should breed politicians in our community that we raise ourselves. People that are funded by white Democrats, white Republicans alike. If you were funded by anybody white, I don't believe you have the best interest of our community at all. I don't care who you are. Whether you be Raphael Warnock, John Ossoff, Kelly Loeffler, or what's his name? The other guy that was running. I don't care who you are. You don't have the best interest of the black community at heart because we are not funding their campaigns fully. I believe that we have to raise our own politicians, which is what we're trying to do in our program. We are going to put them in government. Some of them want to go run for positions, but we know we bred them in our communities.
But hold on. See, not
Not nothing white Democrats that came and gave us and spent millions of dollars on all these ads and got folks all riled up about these guys for you to come keep black people remain a Democrat Party and the Republican Party side chick. They only come to the black community when they want our vote to get off and then disappear. We don't never see them again.
But here's the thing that's again interesting. You just offered a contradiction. You first say you want to remove people from government, but then you say you're raising them to run. So which one is it?
When I say remove from government, I'm saying keep as much government out of your life as possible.
But how are you raising people to run for office?
Say it again.
How are you then raising people to run for office if you don't want folks involved in government? So here's the deal. Okay, how about this? Okay. So the young men that you're raising up to be in government, how in the world are they going to be able to be effective when you have Republicans who are passing voter suppression laws, and then you're saying, well, that's really our issue? Aren't they making it harder for the very folks you trying to raise up to get elected?
I didn't say our issue. I said that's not my issue that I'm fighting.
But you just said you're raising up politicians.
Again, that's for when the children, what they want to do. I'm not raising them directly just saying, oh, you got to go be a politician. No, for the kids that want to go in that area, I have mentors for them to go into that area.
But shouldn't we be fighting voter suppression laws that make it harder for them to get elected?
Mr. Roland, if you can't go get, what's the problem with black folk going to get a voter ID?
No, the issue is not a voter ID.
Okay.
No, wait. Hold up. Stop. Hold up. You just said, what's the issue? If you live in rural Georgia, and you've seen the closures of driver's license offices, and you don't have transportation, then the question is, how are you then accessing it? In Texas, for instance, when Texas passed its voter ID law, they showed that 600 to 800,000 African Americans and Latinos were going to be negatively impacted by the voter ID law in Texas because of where they could go. In Texas, they said that you could not use your state-issued student ID at a state institution, but if you had a hunting license, you could. In Pennsylvania, when they passed their voter ID law, they required you to actually travel to an office to fill out a form to say you could not afford a license, an ID. You then have to go back home, and then once they've certified that, come back. There was some 20% of elderly who couldn't do it. There are black people in Georgia who do not have birth certificates who cannot get a voter ID. So that's just one issue with the voter ID. But in Georgia, Republicans, hold up, that's just one issue. In Georgia, right now, Republicans want to make it a crime to hand out water and food if folks are waiting in line to vote. Does that make sense?
Okay, if they gonna do that, then how about before people go and vote, y'all go set up like you usually do and go hand it to them before they go get in line? It's a way around that. You do realize there were massive lines in Georgia and other states, but again, you still dance around my question. Why legislate handing out of water and food? Why? Well, I don't know. You got to ask them that.
No, you're the conservative. You in Georgia. Hold up. These are your lawmakers, not mine. These are yours. So the question is, how much sense does it make to outlaw water and food?
I don't see why they're doing that. That's a question for me too. I don't understand why.
So do you also think it's wrong for Republicans in Georgia to restrict voting on Sundays when they're specifically targeting black people who do souls to the polls? Is that good or bad?
Well, I didn't see the law that said they're directly targeting black people, but I would assume
who votes on Sundays
to the polls.
More black people are participating in voting on Sunday and so to the polls. That's targeting black people. So you think that's okay? So you also think that's a bad idea, right?
I would think that's a bad idea, but if that push come to shove, we got to vote on another day. If we really want to vote, we got to go make it happen.
push come to shove, what about ballot drop boxes? So, for instance, they're going to require them to be located inside of early voting locations, which means that you can only drop off your ballot when the voting location is open. If it's closed at 6 and you get off work, you can't drop it off. As opposed to right now, it's 24 hours. If you could just come by like a mailbox, drop it off. Good or bad?
That's bad. I agree. That's bad.
Okay. So that's bad.
Absolutely. I agree.
Got it. You also have, they restrict early voting buses to emergencies, meaning if you said y'all bought a school bus, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That means if you decided to say, hey, we're going to provide a public service to the people in Albany and drive them to the polls, this law says you can't do that.
That's a problem.
So, for the things I mentioned is a problem. Okay, all right. Do you also think it's a problem? It says bans outside funding of elections from nonprofit organizations. So you have governmental entities who say, hey, we can't afford X amount of workers. You got nonprofits out there, nonpartisan, where people actually fund staff and things along those lines. Republicans in your state say, oh, we're going to outlaw that too.
Okay.
Good or bad?
That's a problem.
All right. So disqualifies provisional ballots cast in the wrong precinct. So let's say you weren't aware they switched the precinct and you actually voted in that precinct. This law says, sorry, forget about it. It gets thrown out.
I mean, I wouldn't say that's good or bad. It's just something you got to pay attention to.
Yeah, but you got to pay attention to. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
They set a deadline to request absentee ballots 11 days before Election Day. Why? I mean, like, what's the big deal?
You got to ask your lawmakers.
No, they're actually passing it, but you're a resident of the state. Aren't you concerned about the laws that these folks are passing that are going to have an impact on the people there in Albany, Georgia?
Absolutely. However, that's not my fight. We have people fighting for that, but I'm not fighting for that. I mean,
you're not fighting for it. Do you care?
Okay.
Do you care?
Yeah, I care, but I know I got people like you and other people around here fighting for our right to do that. But the body has many different parts. That's not my fight.
Gotcha. So if you're trying to move folks to change things, they're in Albany. And this is one of those things that is a part of our process, is a part of way of life, meaning you can be out there, you can have your own business, you can do for self, you can have an urban farm, you can do all those sort of different things. But if Republican lawmakers in Georgia are making it difficult for you as a citizen to be able to participate in the electoral process, should that not be contested? Should that not be fought? Yes or no?
I believe it should be fought. If we do find issue and fault with that, I definitely believe we should stand up and go fight for that. The people who do fight for that, but that's not something I fight for. Again, that's just not my fight. I know we have people here that are doing that and that are fighting for different injustices, but that's not my area of injustice. Body has different parts.
You talked about getting donations from various people. Do you think it's a part of your fight if African American businesses are not getting their fair share of city, county, and state contracts? Because if black businesses are able to actually get their fair share of taxpayer dollars with contracts, they actually can create and grow businesses and build capacity to help fund initiatives like yours. So does that matter?
Yeah, absolutely. That matters, yes.
So, but that's also tied to government. So, so would you be willing to work with folks who are petitioning government to increase the capacity of black businesses in getting state contracts?
Ask that question again for me.
Would you be willing to fight with others to grow the capacity of black businesses to get city, county, and state contracts where they are being able to build their businesses? Because in America, prior to COVID, you had 2.6 million black-owned businesses in America. 2.5 million only had one employee doing average revenue of $54,000. Because of COVID, we lost 41% of black businesses. And so does that petitioning government matter getting those contracts to you?
Absolutely. I definitely agree.
So that's something that you would also fight for?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm even encouraging some of my children to start businesses, so that's something they would have to look into. Absolutely.
But wouldn't you also want to have legislators who are in office who are more likely to support that initiative versus those who are against it?
Absolutely. I definitely agree.
Which means that in order to get those folks elected, we must be able to have uninhibited access to the ballot.
Right, absolutely. But as far as seeing some of the things on the bill, as far as the feeding and stuff like that, I mean, we can we not slow, and we don't have a learning disability. I believe some of those things we can get taken care of. We can go get IDs. We could go start a Black voter IDs matter and go help people go get their IDs. I mean, these are things we could do.
Yeah, but you keep going back to ID as if that's the only issue, and that's not the only issue.
That's not the only thing. I'm just saying, like, that's one of the issues.
No, that's one.
There.
That's one. I read for you about 10 of them. That's one. So that's one particular thing right there. So, but what's interesting though is that again, government plays a role in being able to change the condition of the lives of people as well. If there are people who are restricting our access to the ballot, they're restricting our ability to be able to change the conditions of various communities. So therefore, why would we not consider that to be an important issue, just like an important issue of being able to buy a school, fund a school, and when you say do for self? Because again, the people who I hear the most who yell do for self, you know what? They get a whole lot from government. So when you say do for self, we can't divorce ourselves from the reality of the role that government plays.
Well, this
because
is the same
in fact,
America.
your school you bought, you have to, that has to be up to code, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
That's government.
Okay.
And so we can't. So this notion of removing ourselves from government just doesn't exist because we deal with it every single day.
Well, in conservatism, we believe in less government.
No, they don't.
No government.
Hold up.
Less government.
If conservatives believe in less government, why are they passing this bill, which is more government and actually is going to cost? Hold up. This bill is going to cost. Hold up. Here's the other deal. This bill is going to cost Georgia taxpayers $30 million more to make it harder to vote. That I would think, as a fiscal conservative, that's stupid.
It is. I agree.
So if you agree with that, and if you agree that it makes no sense to limit Sunday voting, if you agree that it makes no sense banning outside funding of elections, and you agree that it makes no sense restricting early voting buses to emergencies, in your view, Republicans in Georgia should not be voting for this bill and making these changes, yes or no?
Absolutely. Considering the pros and cons, yeah, definitely. I don't believe the bill should pass. Absolutely.
Gotcha. And what do you make of Black Republicans who say nothing about any of this, who frankly are silent in Georgia as this is happening?
I'm very critical of Black Republicans and Black conservatives when they're not addressing the issues that directly affect us. Absolutely, I don't hold my tongue on that at all. If it's an issue that's directly affecting the Black community, that's hurting us, absolutely they get chastised. From Candace Owens all the way down to whoever. Everybody gets chastised. From me. I believe we definitely all of us need some criticism, whatever side you on. So I definitely don't hold my tongue regardless of whatever party they consider themselves in, because I'm independent.
And so when you talk about building what you're doing there, what's the next step for that?
Oh, absolutely. All right. So right now we just purchased our school. And again, we're working with boys 11 to 17, and we're working with grades 6 through 12. We have to renovate our school right now. And after we get finished renovating our school, we're also going to start our summer program where we're going to teach 40 young men how to build 2 houses from the ground up. We're going to get Lowe's to sponsor this for us, and we're going to make that happen. So right now, we're just trying to get all our ducks in a row, get the accreditation that we need, so that way the children can use their diplomas to go to college, et cetera, and also do dual enrollment with Albany Technical College here where we are to work in the skilled trades. Our biggest thing is trying to make sure those children who may not want to go to college also have a way to make it and to see that they can make it. So for me being young and 21 and doing these things for them, I just want to make sure that they know they can be young, black in America and still go make it happen regardless of the stereotypes they give us.
You spoke of accreditation. From who's it? From who?
We have, I think it's the Georgia Accreditation Commission.
That's government.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. See, the point I'm making here is that even with the effort that you're doing, you cannot divorce yourself from government, which means that which means that for you to be even more effective, what's important is to have individuals who are in power in government who are not standing in the way of what it is that you're trying to do. In fact, they are encouraging that. The problem is when we have individuals who are blocking the very thing that you're talking about and not providing access to folks, whether it's voting, whether it's contracts, whether it's participating in this so-called American dream. That's the fundamental problem I'm talking about. So when I say we have to fight on all those fronts, we can't say I'm going to just do for self as if I don't have to deal with this whole system. We got to make sure that there are people who are in power who are sympathetic to folk like you, but who are not trying to make what you're trying to do harder.
Right, and when I mentioned at the beginning, I said the body has a full anatomy, meaning somebody has to be the heart, somebody has to be the brain, somebody has to be your lungs. When I say I'm doing for self, I'm over here working with my children and we doing for self. You are being the lungs or the brain or what have you, and you are fighting on that end for the black community. That's not my fight. When I said that, ain't that I don't care. It's just I got stuff I'm worrying about on this side. I like for you to worry about the voter suppression and things like that, but I'm going to worry about the children on this side, and that's what I want to do. I want to help the kids. I don't necessarily worry about what's going on in government because I know people in our communities that are going hard for that. I don't need to go hard for that because other people are going hard for that for us because they believe in what we're doing. So absolutely, I definitely appreciate everybody's fight in our community. I mean, our fight has a whole body, but I can't fight every fight. I'm going to fight the one fight that I believe in and that I'm good at.
Well, absolutely. And that's why I use the phrase, we all have lanes. And that's why it's important, though, for us to recognize that although I might be in this lane, for me, I'm in the media lane. I understand, though, that there's a difference between me leading a fight in another lane and providing support to somebody else in another lane. What I'm not going to do is diminish the reality of that or say that's not important. So what I will do is I can sit here and use what I am doing to say, hey, I can amplify what somebody else is doing. But what I'm not going to do is say that's irrelevant to what's going on, because the reality is, even in my case in media, I own this. It's an independent media, but guess what? The federal government spends $1 billion a year on media advertising. If we're getting shut out of those dollars, then we aren't able to grow, but other media institutions are. So I can never be of the position to say, hey, I want to remove myself from government, because the reality is this: when you're born, that birth certificate is a government document. When you get immunized, that's a government document. When you get married, first of all, that high school diploma is a government document. When you get married, that's a government document. When you get divorced, that's a government document. And when you die, your death certificate is a government document. And so my point is this here: I want to make sure that we are involved in the voting process to ensure that we are electing people who have our best interest at heart and who are passing good policy to allow us to be able to do the things that you're talking about. But what I will never do is say, hey, I ain't sweating that, because that could actually make your job a hell of a lot harder. How can folks get in touch with your organization?
Absolutely. Well, my name is King Randall. You can follow me on all social media at New Emerging King on Twitter, Instagram, or Snapchat. And Mr. Roland, I definitely would love for us to stop with the Twitter back and forth battles. I'd actually like for you to come speak with my kids, or at least talk to them via Zoom. Because like I said, I was a fan before, but I don't really care for the going back and forth on social media. So I would love for you to speak with the kids. And also Miss Erica Savage, one of your former hosts, she's a big fan of mine. And so I definitely love for you to come talk to my kids. Absolutely.
No, that's not a problem. And again, when I was in Albany, I was there 3 times helping Ossoff and Warnock, trying to rally black folks there. So I had no problem being in Albany. Got no problem speaking with the kids. And if I do, I'm definitely going to teach them about the power of voting and how to use it. So just let me know when you want to do that.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. You just let me know, and we'll do a back and forth offline.
All right, no problem. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Peace out.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.